Hi, I'm Lieutenant Colonel Henderson Smith. My military record is 35 years in the Air Force, which include the National Guard and the Reserve, and in my latter years became active duty. I started my career at 17 years old as an enlisted person. And at the time while I'm enlisted, I went to college, and then once I graduated, I became an officer, a lieutenant, where I started flying the F-4 Phantom aircraft at Fort Wayne, Indiana. And when they decommissioned the F-4s from my unit, I then went over to Grissom Air Reserve Base, where I became a navigator on the KC-135. And I was there with them for about 7 years, flying the KC-135, refueling around the world. And then 9/11 happened, and then I was transferred to Scott Air Force Base, where I became a director of air refueling in the Homeland Defense. And I stayed there for about 7 more years. Spent some time overseas doing the war zone, and returned and promoted to lieutenant colonel, and I retired. The idea actually came to me because Grissom was, this is a traveling display put on by Robin Williams, and they were wanted to feature me at Grissom because I flew out of Grissom Air Reserve Base, and I had a Tuskegee Airmen connection. So they invited me to come up and see the exhibit and, talk to the people and things. And while I was there, I saw it, and meanwhile, I've been working on getting the street renamed in front of the Soldier Memorial here. And I thought this will be a great exhibit if we can have it in St. Louis. And I talked to Robin, and she says, well, if you put me in touch with someone at the Soldier Memorial, maybe you can do something. So I contact Mark, and Mark says, hey, let's put me in touch, we'll do it. And they got together and started working it. And next thing I knew, they said, this is going to happen. So I was very happy about that. So it was always a vision of something like this in St. Louis, because we do have a rich history, an unknown rich history about the Tuskegee Airmen from St. Louis. And this was an opportunity to bring the story to St. Louis. So I'm really happy about it. The process of bringing the American Freedom Flyers to St. Louis was really actually the biggest process, or in the process of doing this was just Robert and them getting coordinating. They made a number of meetings with Mark and Robin and got together on sites and stuff like that. So that was all stuff that I wasn't aware of. For me, because part of this is about the St. Louis Tuskegee Airmen, I originally started off with 50 names, and I says, well, I just want to make sure that I have everyone. So I started doing my research about the Tuskegee Airmen, and the numbers start growing. And in the end, I had over 90 names of Tuskegee Airmen. And there's not just pilots, these are everyone. There's people who were doctors, nurses, mail clerks, mechanics, and they all from St. Louis. And I know in my heart, I probably haven't got all of them, but I spent about 2.5 weeks just researching book after book and records and stuff like that. So, but I think I got most of them, and I'm sure there will be some that will pop up later that, hey, I'm a Tuskegee Airman, I served during the time. So the reason I think it was so important to bring this exhibit to St. Louis, that first of all, I haven't really seen anything that focused on or told the stories of the St. Louis or the Tuskegee Airmen in St. Louis. There's a couple of places around town, but nothing that I think capture all what's going on. And also the fact that we have Tuskegee Airmen names listed, again, like I mentioned before, over 91 of them. A lot of the older generation know Wendell Pruitt, because at one time we had a housing complex named after him. But the younger generation, nothing. So I thought this would be a great opportunity to have something for them to come to and visit and walk through and see first about the Tuskegee Airmen and the sacrifices stuff they've made, And also to say, hey, here are Tuskegee Airmen that were from St. Louis. And we focused on about 8 of them, and their pictures there. And they're like, well, this guy was St. Louis. He ran a business here. This guy was a councilman and a politician. And like, wow, something they don't teach in school.
To learn more about this and other fascinating stories, visit Tuskegee Airmen, America's Freedom Flyers at Soldiers Memorial Military Museum through November 2nd, 2025. For more information, visit mohistory.org/memorial.